I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. Sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. 4 in a row, folks. We were on a roll. It's going to be broken, I'm afraid, but it's all right. We'll live with it. I'll do a research stream next week. We'll be fine. Joining me to discuss some politics, I think he's here anyway. Whether it's politics or not, who knows? Is my scrumdiddlyumptious co-host, TrupsLP. Say hello, Trups.
Hello, Trups.
How is Trups?
Trups is okay.
Yeah?
A week of work down.
Yeah.
You know, we tackle these things one day, or in this case, 1 week at a time.
Does Trups have holiday coming up at all, or?
Not quite, but I do have my LARP next week, so I will be
That's a
gone
win.
for that, as Meg mentioned.
That's all good, because I've got a friend here on the Thursday next week when I ordinarily do research streams for end-of-year projects. And so, because he's here on the Thursday night, he and I will stream on this channel a whiskey stream. It's going to be fun. But he's going home on the Friday, so I'll do my research stream on the Friday. So it all works out, really. It's convenient. He sounds bad, Meg. That is not on my end, I can promise you that. It's not necessarily yours either. You know what I mean? It's just that thing where things echo or something. Yeah. I can't. I don't OBS well enough to fix any of that issue. Although, to be fair, it sounds fine on my end.
Yeah, that's the weird thing. Like, OBS just doesn't compress Discord audio very well.
It doesn't. And I don't know how to remedy that, I'm afraid. It does make it does cause. It seems to cause a few issues when it comes to uploading it to Spotify, which is quite irritating because the streams are really good. We're talking, it's very fluid, and the audio is all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I was like you were in a tunnel. Okay, I never would know. I think it's might because Trups and I move a fair bit, and for some reason his microphone decides to be a dickhead about that and not pick him up, whereas mine does pick me up.
I don't actually know how to fix that because I listen to my own playback, and I don't know if I just when I put the filter on. When I do my own recordings versus like what Discord thinks is okay.
Okay, well apparently your audio is better now.
Okay, cool. I didn't do shit.
Oh, okay. It might be a voice elevation thing as well, because microphones.
Okay. Well, I will stay exactly where I am.
Yeah, don't move. You know what I mean? Like when you get very when I get animated, as it happens as well. It all just goes and spikes.
Mm-hmm.
I have your audio level set half as high as mine, and yet when I go and do this right and sort it out through Audacity, one of us will still be obnoxiously louder than the other, and it's not even you. It's not even on your end. It's just how the audio's decided. This is what we're going to do now, because you're not louder on the bars at all. You're actually in line when you speak with where I am. So I don't quite understand any of it.
When I did my minor in audio engineering, it was exactly the same kind of nightmare.
I can't be bothered. Anyway, where shall we begin today? Shall we start with something UK simplicity, or do you just want to go straight to that video you want me to play?
We can start with UK simplicity because I cannot promise how much I'm about to lose my shit. So
okay, so there has been as many know, the Labour Party get accused of anti-Semitism. Obviously, if we're going to go with the is it Abrahamic religions? Is that it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to go with that, then of course we can't. Christianity, mock it away. Who cares? But if the Labour Party are anti-Semitic, then the Conservatives have to be Islamophobic. Okay, because anti-Semitic sounds vastly more intellectually honest as opposed to Islamophobic. All right, they just latched onto phobic and gone, yeah, fair. So there is a number of Tory MPs who have been accused of Islamophobia. Tory MP Mark Spencer was identified as a person by a female Muslim minister who was the first one to speak in the Commons, which is very strange. You should know your place. Now, he was identified by Ms. Ghani as someone who had made some remarks. Well, because this undoubtedly leads to people saying that the Conservatives are corrupt, Mark Spencer was cleared of any wrongdoing because they were unable to determine whether he had told a colleague that her Muslim faith was a factor in her sacking.
In her what?
Sacking, fired.
Oh, yes.
For
some reason, I thought that was innuendo.
Yeah. Well, that's a different kind of sacking, mate. I mean, you could also argue NFL sacking, that kind of thing. Is it NFL? Yeah. The problem you have is Conservatives, because the Prime Minister has said no action will be taken against the Tory MP, will be accused of corruption. The problem is, the issue is whether or not he was, whether he'd done something wrong. She was, Ms. Ghani, a business department minister, and has been since last September, and believed that the Surrey episode had only been bearable due to the support of so many Conservative colleagues. Okay, this is interesting. However, Tory colleague Baroness Vazi said that, and Baroness Vazi is also, I believe, I don't know if she's Muslim or not. I think she is. Yeah, she was the first Muslim woman cabinet minister. Baroness Vazi is like somebody I find quite insufferable because she has opinions and I don't like them. She
has opinions.
That's exactly it. In this instance, it's more of a she's just supporting blindly because Miss Ghani is also Muslim, and that comes across to me as disingenuous. We don't know enough information at all, and it's because these allegations they're just out there. Miss Ghani's doesn't stack up, and Mr. Spencer's can't be proven. Therefore, nothing can be done. It's just an accusation with listen and believe attached to it.
Great, love that.
Yeah, it's
great way to operate.
I live for it. Okay, and for those who are interested, here's the article I'm referencing in the chat. I'll give it 5 seconds and I'll post it because delays done. It's not much to go on, but I do find it quite. Yeah, there is another Tory MP thing going on though, because you're familiar with the concept of lobbying, yes?
Of course.
Okay, so what is lobbying?
So lobbying would essentially be the equivalent of having a group, a vested interest, basically try to give money to a politician to get them to support their cause.
Perfectly said, and that is absolutely correct. Scott Benton, Conservative MP, was suspended this week after a newspaper decided, we're going to do a prank, bro. We're going to sting a Conservative MP by offering to lobby ministers for a fake company. The video is all over the internet. You can find this video anywhere, right? He was filmed undercover saying he could table parliamentary questions and leak a confidential policy paper. He is understandably, he's been referred to the Parliamentary Standards Watchdog. That mother fluffer is going to get fired. Blackpool South, the MP he is, his constituency, he is, he's going to get fired. He has released a statement. He said, last month, I was approached by a purported company offering me an expert advisory role. I met with 2 individuals claiming to represent the company to find out what that role entailed. After this meeting, I was asked to forward my CV and some other personal details. I did not do so, as I was concerned that what was being asked of me was not within parliamentary rules. I contacted the Commons Registrar and the Parliamentary Standards Commission, who clarified the rules to me and had no further contact with the company. I did this before being aware that the company did not exist and the individuals claiming to represent it were journalists. In the video, he looks a bit too enthusiastic. A bit too enthusiastic.
He got caught doing something by sting journalists, sounds like.
Yep.
And now he's trying to be like, oh, it was an honest mistake, really.
Well, he's also indicating that he went to them before. He's got his get out of jail free card, essentially. That's what he believes he has managed to secure here. Another Conservative MP, though, by the way, just looking like an absolute twat. Which I think is funny, because if the allegations represent a breach of code, right, that then goes before MPs sitting on a committee of standards, who then decide the sanctions. Right? Everyone said, the guy needs to be suspended. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
But no one said what needs to be done yet. Like removing the whips, we can't vote on any policies. And the code of conduct when it comes to like lobbying has more recently been like updated and tightened. And this followed paid advocacy work, which was undertaken by Owen Paterson, who is a former MP. Right? These straws that broke the camel's back kind of things, this has been going on for a while. There are other MPs that have been caught, though. You've got Matt Hancock, former health minister. He was caught agreeing to work for a fake company for thousands of pounds a day. Kwasi Kwarteng, the former chancellor, for like a week, before he caused the economy to crash. He also did the same. Neither, though, faced any like punishments. Matt Hancock has punishment of his own. He lost his wife and kids because he decided to shag his assistant. This has also led to other discussions about like second jobs for politicians. Now, I
remember we had that discussion not too long ago.
And I think I believe we agreed. Who gives a shit?
Right. Yeah. Basically, that was essentially the opinion.
Make your money. I don't really give a fuck. I just think.
There is a bit of a difference when it comes to, in the context of lobbying. There are nuances that one must explore in that. Okay, let's say that X politician then proceeds to go work for, we're gonna call it an investment company.
Sure.
And then some of his buddies that are still in Congress, say, hey, he's got that investment company. He's a buddy of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could do something. Now, of course, that's other laws beyond just, should they have second jobs? That's insider trading. That is, a whole bunch of other stuff. But the sentiment is more or less the same.
Yeah. So I have my other queries usually center on this about what was the point of the lobbying in the first place? Not the lobbying, the sting. Was it to prove a level? Because if you got him to willingly say those things, you've proven a level of corruption.
Yes.
But I've seen the video. He definitely said those. So I assumed that's all they were interested in, just to create that, to prove the point of politicians being corrupt. Although you don't need to prove it. We know they are anyway. You're just demonstrating that apparently somebody who has a whip, the whip even, is liable to give you what you want in exchange for money. Shocker, I know, who likes money. I know, it's ridiculous. I'm intrigued in that aspect about what the motivations beyond that are, if there are any. With the politician, I'm kind of curious about, like, politician in this country, the basic salary is, it's not, I think it's like 70 grand. Let's go find out. Basic MP UK salary. I think it's 71,000, isn't it? Oh, 84,144. Fam, I don't even make like an eighth of that, okay? They make good money. And they get loads of expenses. right? And I'm not even joking. They can claim their rent for a second property if they got one in London as an expense. They can claim so much back, and anyone that works in there for them, yeah, they claim all that as well. Like, you get hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of expenses. So I don't understand why anyone would want to be involved in lobbying for this kind of money when you're getting so much anyway. If you're an MP and you serve, I think it's 2 full terms, so 10 years, you're entitled to MP's level of pension as well. That pension is pretty fucking good. Like, it's greedy, and that's typical of politicians, of course. Typical of many people, in fact. If I'm offered the money they're offered, of course I'm tempted, because I like money. I like really nice shiny guitars and really nice whiskey. But the opportunity doesn't arise that often for such luxuries, so I don't, take it. Although I did get an email yesterday from a company claiming to be NordVPN, and they've asked me if I'm interested, and I should reply. So I replied, yes, I'm interested. Send me information. But I don't know if the email's real or legit. So I've done a tentative thing, just to see what happens. Because
makes sense.
I want money. Yeah, people want money and they always want more. I'm not trying to appear naive on purpose to those listening. It's more something I find quite intriguing. Because in the case of, is it Scott Benton? I don't believe he's been a politician for that long. He's 30. Okay, he's only a little bit younger than me. He's been a politician only since 2019, with a majority of only 11%. He doesn't hold a big majority. So for me, it's really bad for his career this early on to risk his career so close to election season in that context. And let's say Blackpool South constituency. Okay, so he currently sits as a independent because he lost the Conservative whip. He has lost it. And let's see. He's going back to Labour, to be honest. It's a swing seat now because Labour have held it. Sorry, they held it from 1997 till 2019. Okay, it's going to go back to Labour now. I don't think it'll stay with him because of that cock up. That's not a good look.
Though?
Sorry?
I said, should it though? Given that he was caught doing this thing.
It'll go back to we got the election year next year, so it will more than likely go back to Labour anyway because Blackpool isn't exactly a hotspot for Conservative voters, as far as like culturally goes. So I do think it'll swing back. But that's, to be honest, as far as UK goes, the only other thing going on over here would involve the SNP, which is something we can talk about later, and the fact that Joe Biden will not be attending our King's coronation. He's sending his wife instead.
Weird, champ. That's very odd.
I assume it's because at his age he can't make the flight.
I guess that would make sense if he doesn't take another flight in the next, year that he's a president.
Yeah. And since our king is being coronated next month on the 6th, I believe, which is a Saturday, for those who are interested, I shall be having a nice glass of Johnny Walker Blue for that.
Now, of course, I don't know. If I had the opportunity to go to a king's coronation, I feel like I would take that opportunity. How many do you expect to have in your lifetime?
Well, Biden will definitely not see another one. Sorry, but Charles is younger, and our royal family are long-lived. Mm-hmm. So, no, he's not. No, and Biden also won't be in office when the next one's coronated. So, I think he should go because he's a world leader. He's one of the biggest, most powerful nations. Sending Jill is a bit. I mean, still kind of cool, but no, it should be Sleepy Joe. Although I don't think he'd be able to stay awake long enough. Hence why I said Sleepy Joe. I think many people fight to be able to go to these kind of things, and obviously there's been a coronation in this country since 1940 something. I don't know when Elizabeth was freaking coronated.
It was after the Second World War. So
that's fine. I'll look it up.
Know. Yeah.
Okay. So she coronated on the 2nd of June 1953, so it was after World War II.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah. I'm terrible. I'm terrible with my own history. Anyway,
She was childish.
She was
a young
early
lady when
early
the bombing
20s.
of London happened.
Yeah, she was a child then, early 20s when she was coronated. Though
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a bad look, but you also have the additional thing in this where it's customary. Like when a pope is selected, the pope goes out onto a balcony, don't they? When the one is chosen, they go onto a balcony.
Yes.
I watched that for Ratzinger when he became Pope Lazarus, the whatever. I can't remember his fucking name. It could have been Pope freaking Morning Star. I don't know.
Wait, the one that's
No. It was the one before Pope Benedict Cumberbatch.
John Paul II.
No. Pope Benedict.
Oh,
before Francis, after Saint Paul.
it does not extend past there.
It was the very first time I'd ever seen a pope be selected, so I watched it, and then I saw this Hobbit German come out. I'm like, motherfucker. Anyway, yeah. So it's customary for that to happen when a coronation takes place here, walking out onto a balcony at Buckingham Palace. His Majesty has made the decision that only those who are the most loyal family members and active members of the royal family are permitted to be on that balcony with him. Now, he slimmed down the royal family in respect to he doesn't want to waste money, basically. He wants to be more eco-friendly. Hell, hundreds of trees are being planted a day now because of him. And that's great.
Okay.
That's awesome news. He's a very green guy, which is why he flew around the world to get an eco award once.
Sure.
This is seen as a sly dig in one respect, though, because when you had the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, for example, right? There's a picture of it. Hang on, I might be able to pull it up, actually. Screen capture, you gonna work? Yes, here it is, right? Here's the picture of the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. Yeah? It's on the screen for those who are watching. You see so many royals. Well, you see a fair few, right? But actually you don't. And that's because you don't see Harry or Meghan. You don't see many of the grandchildren. You see only the most trusted senior members and those in direct line of succession, which would be Charles, William, George. Yeah? Toxic male right there. You don't see Harry or Meghan. Now, they've been invited to the coronation, yes. Will they turn up? Fuck knows. They should, but they won't be on that balcony. That's a guarantee at this point. And I agree, by the way, with Charles. Only those who are working, senior royal family members should be there. I think if it's just there because you think you have a birthright, I think you then take out the importance of what that symbolizes. This is the royal family. This is the family going forward. Harry's not a part of it, is he? He's too busy shitting on them and getting bad optics for it.
And then trying to backtrace and then doubling down.
Oh god, that's. I'm sorry, but South Park did it and it was done. Okay. By the way, I like in the chat. This is not a pipe. Slow Mo Joe. Thing is, you say slow mo. I think Judge Dredd the movie, and I'm totally in favor of Joe Biden getting high as a fucking kite on a slow mo inhaler. And I mean the 2012 movie, which was Amazeballs.
Okay.
I'm not even joking. I've got like 4 copies of it on DVD.
Good.
I have a signed Carl Urban Judge Dredd film slide bit here just behind my monitor.
I see.
And behind my literally behind my actual computer monitor, and I've got a few bits of memorabilia because yes, I have a Judge helmet, as everyone knows.
Yes, I am aware of this.
I was gonna say I like my helmet, but that sounds wrong. But yeah, anyway, anyone wants to read the royal related article, there it is for you in the chat. Do you want to talk about Trump maybe, or your Tennessee thing, or what?
Let's talk about Tennessee. Well, yeah, let's talk about Tennessee.
Do you want me to play the video or not?
Not quite yet. So,
okay.
So let me give everybody some context. So last week we had been discussing the terrible tragedy that was the Covenant private Catholic school, and the shooting that claimed the lives of 6 people, 3 of which were children about the age of 9 years old.
Rest in peace.
The perpetrator, I believe they had it was a Smith & Wesson. It was a collapsible long rifle. I can't remember what it was. Can't remember what the thing was, but scary rifle, right? And so of course you had, as you would after every instance of gun violence, you have the usual cries for legislation change. In the Tennessee legislature, I believe it was this past week, where they had there were people who organized protests, and those protests did get a bit out of hand. Now, what the important part is not necessarily that things got out of hand, because, I mean, protests do that often, a lot actually, but rather there were 3 members of the sitting Tennessee legislature who joined into this protest, and the way that they did so was they stepped into the well of the actual I guess, a congressional hall of that state house, and used a bullhorn to basically voice their concerns, disrupting the proceedings in the process. Well, as a response to this, the Tennessee legislature voted to expel those Democrats because of their actions taking part in the protest. Now, I'm using the word protest because this is the word that the media is currently using. But if I was going to be completely honest with you, this was an actual riot in their capital. And in case you don't believe me, I had Meg queue up a video that I had posted on my Twitter page, or reposted onto my Twitter page.
Oh,
Meg,
video. Yes, of course. I will go and get it, and I'll full screen it, and I will even change over here to screen capture, folks. I'm going to mute my microphone, and I will unmute when it is finished. I'm going to play it from start to finish, unless Trups wants to talk over it.
Right. So you see a bunch of state troopers. They are holding back individuals, and you see one of the people escaping from the mob, and they are pushing, they are shoving. There's a woman who charges through, who puts her hands up as to say, "Don't attack me, but I'm going to use now my body to break through your clear police line." It's all right. We got them handled. It's fine and dandy. Nothing bad. We're all good. It's fine. Let's see. More yelling. All right, go back. Oh, that's a hymn. My apologies. Okay, cool. We have successfully both successfully thrown a person into the police line, and then chanted to give them back. Okay, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I heard that and thought, I haven't seen this video yet, but that bit sticks out.
Yeah, no, it's very odd. Now, there are other videos. Now, if you would like to go see them, I encourage you to go and take a look-sees at under the hashtag of Tennessee riots. One of the people who was escorted, by the way, you see escaping in the front. That person was barricaded inside a bathroom because they went to go to the bathroom, and this group of people who you see pushing through, who you saw pushing through the police line, had basically kept him locked in there as they were, trying to protest. So at that point, you accidentally cause a kidnapping. So they had to have police then escort the person out. And there are other things that follow suit. I encourage you guys to look at it. And the reason why I encourage you guys to go and seek out more of the footage of that day is because the media is currently portraying it as a completely peaceful protest.
I'm sorry, but comparative to something else I saw of a more red variety that happened on, say, January at some point a few years ago, that was a full-on riot.
Well, I mean, absolutely. There are very varied differences. And again, I gave you a 1-minute clip of something that we can actually show on YouTube and not immediately get flagged.
And with your commentary, it should count as fair use.
Yes, thank you. I did play that. Now, of course, that's why I'm encouraging you all to please go on Twitter and look at other.
I've linked it in the chat though, just so you know.
Yeah. To go and look up some more of those videos because I'm trying to keep this channel at least somewhat monetized. I'm trying to be good. It's important to note that there are people who are doing bad things, and there are people who are showing their patriotism and their support for democracy in the wrong ways. The difference comes when you then try to sell it to the American media as nothing happened, it was fine, nobody got hurt, nobody was attacked, nobody was assaulted, when objectively there were people who were assaulted. The people who then ended up joining in the protest then get to, I guess, reap the consequences of joining into what they had called for January 6th, one of the biggest reasons why people got arrested. While, yes, one of those charges that they got charged for was trespassing, the other charges that they got pegged for was a what's the word? Interruption of proceedings. That's the word. And that's exactly what, unfortunately, those people then proceeded to do.
Yeah.
They interrupted the proceedings to stage a protest, which you can argue if you want to that that is completely their right. Sure, fine, go ahead. However, that also means that it is the right of the legislature to then punish them for the actions that they found to be disrespectful or otherwise interrupting of proceedings. Right now, the Democrats can't have it both ways, but they're trying really, really hard to. And I'm upset because these issues don't even come close to the actual problem at hand, which is that people are still lying about gun control laws.
It is very. It seems like it's been going on for a while, hasn't it? This. Or you must not have ARs or automatics. They should be banned, and we need to be more strict on this type of ammunition. And yet, ARs aren't quite what they keep saying they are.
No,
they go, but it's in the name. It's assault rifle. That's what it is, right? Okay.
No.
All right.
No, I'm in so much pain.
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's what they say.
Oh, I know it is.
It's so frustrating.
There was on Fox News. There's a Democrat who shows up occasionally. I can't remember his name. Know what AR means. What was it? It was
actually retarded.
Yeah, it was Greg Gutfeld basically saying to what's the Hispanic man's name on
Please,
on
I
Fox
beg it's not something generic. I beg.
No, it's not. But anyway, he's one of the people that they put on for to balance opinions. And basically he was like, what does AR stand? Greg Gutfeld asks him, like, what does AR stand for? And the man responds, assault rifle. And Greg just gives him the look of disappointment.
Geraldo Rivera?
Yes, thank you, Geraldo Rivera.
I did Google. I literally Googled Hispanic Fox News man.
Yeah, well, I got it on. I have DuckDuckGo as my basic thing, and it did not pull up Geraldo. But yeah, it's Geraldo Rivera.
Yeah. Geraldo, not Geraldo. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Right. And Greg just looks at him just with disappointment because genuinely people believe that the current opinion within the last, I think, month or two. The opinions of how they have been describing AR platforms. They're saying things like, you know why you don't hunt deer with an AR? It's because there's nothing left.
That's not true.
What? 22.
I mean,
223 round does not explode deer. What?
It's not holding like 50 cals. All right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, okay. So 30-06 is the most common hunting round, and that thing is. I mean, if you put them side by side, there's not really a comparison.
Yeah, I figured as much.
But
I mean, the only way you're not getting anything out of that deer is if you are emptying multiple clips into the deer while it's stationary.
Magazine.
Thank you. While it's still on the floor. Like, if you're doing that and you're just standing there, you're emptying hundreds of shots into it, sure. At that point, you might have some buckshot to deal with.
Yeah,
around the size of a bullet.
Yeah, the people who are trying to pass legislation on guns fundamentally do not understand guns, and at that point, they are legislating from a position in which their entire policy position is to make you afraid of scary. Boom boom.
I just want a bright pink camo AR-15 that I can shoot into the sky at dragons while smoking Bitcoin.
You know, I could have actually given you that first part. I could have helped you find one.
I do like that.
And then you ruined it.
Yeah. I just had to go too far. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
right. I know. Oddly enough, I know of two people. One a creator and a friend, both of whom have a bright pink version of an AR-15. The friend of mine, I think, is bright pink camo. The person who has the bright pink and other bold like colors is Blair White, because they've got a few guns. A few rather bold-looking color ones, I may say, but who gives a shit, right?
Yeah. I actually, fun story. I was scrolling through TikTok, and there was a person who came up who's telling me that Stealth Arms has a 1911 platypus.
What's that?
It's a 1911. Anyway, the point is that there's a color choice that you can do, and in that color choice, you can turn it into Perry the platypus. So it's that teal and orange top.
Nice.
And so it's hilarious. I love that.
I like that. That's very it's very it's unique. Oh, can I have one that looks like a Bulbasaur?
Probably.
Go with the watch I saw earlier.
I know that I can at least get you mags that have custom art on them.
Do you mean clips?
No. No, I don't. No, I don't. Ironically, if I had to be fair, I'm not going to completely blame the British person for not knowing the difference, because I'm pretty sure your World War II rifles were actually clips. Hold on.
Yeah, they were. But also, we don't have many guns here, so these mistakes are easy for us because we don't have them.
Mm-hmm.
The nearest we have is a shotgun, and you don't use clips or magazines, you use shells.
Yeah. Oh, shotguns, right, yeah.
Yeah. And that's clay pigeon shooting, or a form of hunting that is permitted but under heavy license. Not that I can ever own one because I have diagnosed depression. I'm not allowed to have a gun.
Indeed.
But I do have Nerf guns, and they're all automatics.
It is true. The Lee Enfield MK1 was in fact a 10-round detachable magazine loaded with 5-round charger.
I knew this. The Enfield's very, very popular because that was a very popular brand here.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have.
Of course, back then you'd be correct. And since that's the last time you guys were even allowed to have firearms.
And by the way, the moment the war was over, there was an armistice anyway, so we brought the guns were delivered to a place, and all soldiers put their guns down there and walked away.
Really?
Yeah, that's what you did because they didn't belong to you, so you had to surrender them. You surrendered your arms and you went home. Some might have been allowed to keep them if the pins were removed, but I think there was only very high-ranking officers.
Yeah, I mean, we have an armory for that. We don't just put them on the ground.
True. Well, it was more like in an area where if you went back to your barracks to get your stuff, you put them where the parade was. You put them on the floor in a pile.
I see.
And then someone went as a gesture of I played my part. Now it is someone else's turn.
I see.
Not so much. Fucking give me my gun back.
I think I understand now. But anyway, point is that the people who are legislating for things like gun control laws fundamentally do not understand how guns work. There was actually a Florida police chief. Excuse me. A Florida police chief who was remarking about how there was a shooting in his area, and they asked, "Oh, how did the people obtain these firearms?" And the sheriff next to him goes, "Oh, car robberies." And the chief goes, I believe his name is Billy Zane.
The actor.
Which is a great name, by the way.
It is, but isn't I know that's an actor name.
It is also an actor's name, yeah. But guy basically goes car robbery. So not a single one of our existing gun control laws would have actually stopped this shooting. And the guy basically goes off and says, "Let me remind everybody that criminals will always obtain a gun."
Agreed.
If they want to commit a crime with a firearm, they will source one. And this is very hard for a lot of people to understand fundamentally, because they do not want to believe that things like red flag laws, which they are arguing, or background checks, which exist already, by the way.
Do they?
Do. Quite a bit, actually. And actually, it's if you're on the East Coast, you actually have a better chance at getting your gun. If you ever want to get a background check and you want to purchase a gun legally, go to your FFL early in the morning if you're on the East Coast, because then the West Coast hasn't woken up yet and is not processing any of the background checks, so you can actually get yours done quickly.
Well, and Leona in the chat's mentioned UK knife crime. Oddly enough, you don't need to mention UK knife crime because we've had a few shootings as well. Trups told me about them, and I was like, holy shit, how, what? But it turns out this stuff is on the web, because it turns out if you wanna commit a crime, you're gonna commit it.
Well, yeah, and actually, I had to make the comment to somebody earlier. They were talking about, it was one of the the page shills on Twitter talking about how guns are fundamentally the problem, and I had to break it down. I was like, listen, if somebody wants to create mass danger, if you take away, let's say you take away guns, like just guns don't exist, right? Then the next solution for them to cause mass danger is explosives, and we see that in other European countries.
Yeah. And
that's not better. In fact, you have more potential for collateral. So I genuinely don't think they actually want to enact these policies. I only believe that their intention is to scare people into voting Democrats into power, so that they can continue to not do anything about it, but use it as a really handy point of a policy so that they can keep running on it. If I had to be, cynic about it, which me never. But yeah. So that's what's going on with Tennessee. They are currently. Oh, by the way, 2 of those people did get expelled. The third one, who happens to be white, did not get expelled. The 2 black people did get expelled.
That's not a good look. That's not a good look.
And I don't know why the difference I didn't look into why there was a difference. Like, I don't know if one did more than the other, but they're harking on all of the tropes, right? They're like, oh, the racists in the Tennessee House are. I'm like, oh no.
I feel my skin crawling at the idea of it.
And I'm like, oh no, now it's a race thing.
That's not a good look. So expulsion, that removes them entirely, yes? Their career is done.
Yes. It removes them currently from the seat. They can be re-elected, but they are currently expelled.
Okay. Are they expelled from their party?
No.
Oh, then they'll get re-elected then.
Absolutely. They can get re-elected. And that is totally an option. Whenever that person's stuff comes back up, which should be in the coming year, where they would be campaigning anyway, right?
Oh yeah, you got election season coming up soon as well, haven't you? We both do.
Yes, we do.
Our elections are next year, and I believe yours are as well.
Yes, for once we are in sync.
Our periods are in sync. This is going to be a fantastic.
I didn't want you to say it, but you said it.
It's going to be we're going to flow together, baby.
Oh no, I hate it. It makes me upset.
The red wave, everyone.
No. Oh no.
That could be taken one of many ways.
I hate everything about that. I'm upset.
Skin crawls need to go fetal.
Yeah, correct. Going to disappear now. No. So right now, like MSNBC, CNN, all the major news outlets are talking about how it's like John Lewis and Martin Luther King.
I saw that.
Oh, it's
not comparable.
And I don't know if anybody believes them.
Fam, none of that is comparable. His speeches were he was a legitimate trailblazer.
Well, not only that, but like the difference between, hey, I got arrested or I got penalized because I took my position as an elected House member of a state, and the other House members took issue with my actions, and therefore the rules that I signed up to when I took the oath of office, I got hammered by. Sounds like a consequence of your own action.
It sounds like it's the same thing with the earlier mentioned Scott Henson with the lobbying thing. He's been a politician for a few years, and he's been slapped with the Parliamentary Standards Committee because he broke ministerial code.
Right, and that's essentially what happened here. It was they breached ethics, and so they got penalized for it. But
there's another term for this. It's called the more you fuck around, the more you find out. And in this instance, they appear to have fucked around a fair bit.
But finding out Meg is racist.
Apparently 2 out of 3, yes.
Yes, well, I'm actually a little upset that they didn't get the white person too, because I don't know why they did. I still don't know why that person got away with it. Or maybe they didn't participate as much. Like I legitimately don't. I have to go and find out.
Or maybe they knew
in my
someone.
opinion, there is no fucking way, right? Like, there's no fucking way that y'all did this and like did not consider the optics.
I think we both know they knew someone, and they're just like, "Yo, fellow whitey, Mr. Dragon Wizard person, can you spot us a little favor?"
I guess I missed the fucking white privilege meeting this month.
You're too Latina for
that. Oh well, I'm not. Yeah, I was saying I'm not white enough. They kicked me out. I forgot.
Yeah. You did the windows right.
I was born. They were like, "Oh, he looks white," and then they were like, "Never mind, he's Hispanic."
Nah, he's a grass. He's a grass cutter, fence painter person. That's what he is.
He eats too much beans and rice.
Hey, chicken chips. Oh dear.
So unfortunately, that is also an aspect to this debacle. And again, they are using it as a background to discuss gun control now with racism. So that is where we're at here. Now, there is one more thing I have to talk about before we run out of time, and that is, of course, the indictments.
You mean the best 5 seconds of internet ever, where Trump walks into a courtroom without any cuffs on and pleads not guilty.
Saying a word.
He's not. Well, apparently the plea is not guilty to all 32 charges. Was it?
34.
Oh, my mistake. I must have misread that. Yes, I like that. So one article that said it's like one of the trials of the century. It's Trump against some guy I've never heard of. In a state that no one likes Trump. Okay.
Yeah. So there's like four, but this one is the Alvin Bragg. The Alvin Bragg indictment of 34 counts of him doing campaign finance violations that has a culmination of over 125 years in prison.
Okay.
And they basically fucked it up.
The ones presenting the charges, or
yes,
right? Okay.
Alvin Bragg basically said that Trump is guilty of, or he believes that Trump is guilty of 34 charges of financial, misreporting, essentially.
Okay.
And saying that he did this thing, which was this one thing, and that was then happened over 34 different installments. Therefore, it's 34 separate crimes.
Oh no.
And also, it totally was actually a crime and totally isn't outside of the statutes of limitations. Also, conspiracy. That's a thing that we can say, right?
Oh my god.
Basically, it gets worse and worse because in order to expand these crimes into 34 separate counts,
he's taken one and he's turned every single transaction into one.
Yes, and he needed to prove that there was another underlying action. There was another crime that was committed, and he failed to do that.
Yes, but again, in the state of New York, what's the chance the courts will treat this fairly?
I mean, I don't think necessarily New York is what is the problem.
Because I don't
matter
know
what, it's gonna get appealed. And the moment that anybody but a New Yorker looks at this is gonna go, this is literally not a thing. You can't do this.
It's not 34 charges, it's one.
Basically, yeah.
And even that one is a bit strange.
Yes, and it's all based upon the idea that originally Michael Cohen, who was Trump's former lawyer, had basically said when he was convicted that he had taken it upon himself to basically, I'm going to pay Stormy Daniels so that Trump doesn't basically have to deal with it.
Right.
Essentially is how that went. And then after a while, he decided that no longer did he want to claim that. He wanted to, call it something else. He said, actually, no. Actually, Trump directed me personally to pay these payments. And, I did not act on my own. He was the real mastermind behind all of this.
He's a credible source then.
Oh, he's a fucking liar. And everyone, I mean literally everyone fucking knows it.
The thing here is, if he has changed his statements multiple times, he is not a credible witness.
He has only changed his story once.
That's
because
once
he
too
is
many.
Actually somewhat smart. Ever since he got convicted, he changed his story once and has stuck with it.
I mean, that's not going to make his situation any better.
Unfortunately, yes, you are correct. Well, unfortunate for him.
Yeah, as I was saying on.
No, it's unfortunate for him. But yes, no. The fact that Michael Cohen is the only link to this indictment, essentially, and they put on this big show. I mean, they drove him in. They made him go into court.
Is he not in prison?
Him say no. He flew home.
Motherfucker.
He went to New York. He said not guilty. He left.
Oh, I thought it was.
Hang on. Plane and went home.
I thought for a second. You were talking about Trump then, weren't you? Yeah.
Yes.
In my head, I was like, I missed something because I opened my door and I thought you were talking about Cohen still.
Oh.
I thought Cohen went to prison.
Cohen was in prison, and
Okay.
then I think he got a deal of some sort because he has appeared on MSNBC more than some MSNBC hosts have.
That's embarrassing. It makes it seem like he's a shill now, or a trophy to be paraded.
Well, he kind of reminds me of Michael Avenatti. Do you remember that name?
That sounds oddly familiar.
He was the one who was trying to go after Trump in like 2016, 2017.
Oh,
and then they
shit,
found out that
yeah.
he was like embezzling and also beat his wife.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
No, it's actually pretty bad. And then they dropped him. Basically, if you're a repeat appearance on any MSNBC program, you're probably a bad person. Probably.
It's not really a MSNBC is not really a thing over here, but they are. They are for me. They're one of those outlets I look at for sources for us, and I always find it to be quite tickle-worthy.
Oh, I always look at MSNBC. In fact, I listen to it in the car all the time, and the reason why is I want to find out what these crazy people are saying.
I would if I needed to use them, I'd use them as a backup to a laxative.
That would work. That would definitely work.
I think you're genuinely struggling to pass a kidney stone. This might be the thing that helps you.
It might. It very well might. You're right.
Because you're already angry. You're already in pain. It's gonna go. It's gonna pass.
Yeah, and it's gonna be worse as the more it goes on. You just kind of have to grit and bear it.
Yeah, and you might find if there's blood coming out of any orifice, it could well be less the kidney stone and more MSNBC.
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
And CNN and any other tabloid you can think of that is absolute shite. Daily Mail. Fucking Daily Mail. I cite them as well.
Well, the thing is you kind of have to cite the sources that you know are contradictory because otherwise people would look at you and say, okay, you are intentionally choosing sources that are in support of your opinion. So if you pull sources that are literally, the diametric opposite of your ideology, it usually gives you a much better leg to stand on.
Fair point. Fair point.
Which is why I like to pull CNN and MSNBC articles because
I've seen
it's
you dump
literally the people who don't like me, or people like me. So I'm going to use them as my muse.
How's the coverage been of this Trump lawsuit from CNN, for example?
So CNN, when the indictments actually came out, CNN actually had John Bolton, who was a former...
I know who he is, the mustache guy.
Yes. And he was surprised at how weak the indictment was.
And yet it's been touted as if it's one of the biggest indictments in history, yet it doesn't... I'm sorry, I saw that shit. It was weak. It's not 34 charges, it's one. Yeah,
well, they sold it to the American people as, 34 charges.
How do you do it, though? What do you do? It's different. It's a different charge because each individual transaction number.
Yes, and for white-collar crime, this is actually very common. If you do if you ever look into embezzlement charges, or white-collar crime that has to do with finances, yes, the way that they eventually will put people away for life is not because they ever got caught doing one thing. It is that they got caught doing one thing over and over and over again, and they expand that to every transaction. It's why one of the reasons why the Dread Pirate Roberts is serving 3 consecutive life sentences.
This still doesn't stick very well because even if you add all 34 together to make one charge, it still doesn't really mean anything.
Now, by contrast, there was a similar charge that the Clinton Foundation actually had to contend with because they had not properly reported the Steele dossier.
Just want to announce something I just noticed on my end here. Apparently, ads are going to be shortly running for some viewers. We don't get ads on this, so I'm going to hit the skip button so you don't have to put up with that shit. Carry on, Trups.
Oh, they tried to sell us ads?
They tried to put ads in the stream. I've got Dave here. He can confirm it.
Yes, confirm. It popped up.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
god!
people.
What fucking
Right at the end of the
Dumb.
stream as well.
yeah, absolute fucking scum,
They've
dude.
literally just been like, and the ad break, so that's the end. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Just
bye.
killed it. Ads in 1 second, stream ends.
Yeah. Well, sorry, it's all gone.
Wow.
It's all gone. Okay. What about coverage from those who are not feckless, intellectually stunted shills?
Almost everybody has had to accept the fact that these were bullshit charges, and the fact that they're trying to do this is so terribly awful. The only people who are trying to still stay on that track are MSNBC people.
So that would then go so far as to explain there was initial coverage when he walked into the courtroom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There was that coverage, but then afterwards, when the dust had, let's say, settled, there was sod all coverage.
Correct.
Because there's just nothing to talk about. Because there's nothing. I'm sorry, but we all saw it. It was weak. I'm sorry, but I'm currently watching, paying attention to a trial at the moment where jury selection is nigh impossible because the people involved are so well known, no one can actually have an unbiased opinion on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this instance, they're not going to be able to get to a fucking jury because the fucking charge is a load of bollocks.
Yeah. Likely the charges will be dropped because of how poorly they wrote it, or how poorly that indictment is going to look.
By the way, just so you know, the jury selection issue is for Chad Daybell, Laurie Vallow. The Doomsday Kid Killers.
Oh, I think I heard about this actually.
Well, they can't get a jury selection. They've been doing it for 3 days and they still haven't done it. I've been collecting sources on this for years.
Interesting.
I'm going to have to start making it, I reckon, at some point, because it's going to be a fucking long video. And it better do well. Oh, I'm going to get triggered. It won't be monetized.
No,
Sadness.
No, it won't.
Okay, well, we've actually hit the hour mark, and I know you've got to go and do something quite important.
Yes, I do.
So you don't become a victim.
Yelling at me.
Oh, okay. Guinness or the other one?
Oh, Stella. Yeah.
Hi, hello, wife beater cat. Stella Artois, the cat is called.
Yes,
or just Stella.
it is.
Trups has to do something important so he doesn't get beaten up.
Yes,
Dave and I need to drink whiskey.
Good.
Thank you everyone for joining. Unless Trups would like to shill anything, we won't be here next week.
No, I have nothing to shill.
You here the week after?
I should be.
Well, if not, it's fine. I'll do another research stream. Thank you everyone for joining. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. I'll be back here next Friday myself, because I'll do a research stream on the Friday. Because I can't on the Thursday, because I'll be doing a drinking stream here on the Thursday with Dave. Say hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Say bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.